All right, welcome into another Auburn Live show. It's the Modcast. Appreciate everybody joining us. Jeffrey Lee, Cole Pinkston, myself, and Justin Hokanson from On3 Sports, AuburnLive.com. Well, fellas, it's that time of year.
Yes, Friday.
It's Friday. It's recruiting. It's an OC search. It's fun times here in Auburn. It's I know a big OV visit, right? All official visits are coming in this weekend, which will be big. Man,
at least 5.
Oh wow,
yeah, that's correct.
That's big. 5. We're talking commits. Or are we talking new guys?
3 commits. Then Justin Williams, the 4-star running back from Georgia, is coming in. Camden Brown, big wide receiver from South Florida, is coming in. And maybe his teammate, Julian Armana. Is that his name, Cole?
Armella.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
So that would be the 6th one. But you got the 3 guys from Auburn coming over, and then the running back from Georgia and the wide receiver from South Florida.
Which, by the way, is a pretty massive deal to get those guys over for the official with what's going on in Auburn right now.
Yeah.
Which is what, Cole?
Yeah, what are you saying, Cole?
They are currently without an offensive coordinator.
Are they?
They are.
See, that's what I was going to say before I knew Powell was coming. All of those guys were offensive players, 2 of which are skill guys.
Right.
The uncommitted guys are skill guys on the offense.
Right.
Yeah. All right, let's hit on this OC thing real quick, and then we'll move into recruiting. Let's talk, just kind of fill people in, sort of give our thoughts, because we haven't gotten together and sort of given our thoughts. I don't think on the dismissal of Bobo and maybe where Auburn should go, what direction they should go, and then we'll get into recruiting, which is heating up, which has become even that much more important after a 6-6 season and after a firing of an OC. Recruiting is just that much more important in terms of finishing strong. All right, Mike Bobo out. Not, I don't think, shocking to any of us. And then obviously now the search for the OC goes on. Jeffrey, what thoughts on Bobo leaving and maybe what Auburn should look for in a new OC? Like, what do you think?
First of all, I wasn't shocked with Bobo, but I was surprised.
Yeah.
I thought in the first half, dude was great. I really did. You saw especially the second half of the season, he lit it up in the first half. It was the second half adjustments, or the lack thereof, that cost Auburn games. Probably could say the same for the defense up into the Iron Bowl. But so shock, no. Surprise, yes. The timing, I guess you go ahead and do it. I know signing day is 2 weeks away. I thought we would not have as much of a buffer between his firing and the announcement of the new guy. Of course, it's only been 3 or 4 days, so it's not like forever. But in recruiting, when there's 2 weeks left before signing day, every day feels like a week.
Yeah.
So I do think we're going to have some resolution here soon. I really don't think. I think I told Cook last night on the corner that I think it's possible, if not likely, that Auburn hires or announces the guy before the weekend's out. And I think that's where we're going to. I think Auburn's got it down to a couple of guys. I think there's some guys higher on the board than others. I think, and I think when you can get it down to that, there's a sense of urgency at this point. I personally, and I don't know anything. That's my gut, man. I feel like Auburn will have something done in the next 72 hours. Yeah, 72.
That would make sense. I wasn't sure in the beginning, honestly. I just didn't know. He's got to recruit, so it'd be nice to name one. But then I was like, but Harsin also seems to me like somebody that's going to try to do it right. And so, but I also went back to, look, we heard about Bobo and in the fit between Bobo and Harsin. We heard that wasn't great, like from the beginning, like in September. So, and like every coach has a list of candidates kind of always ready. And so, given that, I'm sure Harsin I'm sure he had his few guys that he was thinking about. And then as the season went on, those last 4 games probably happened. You have to think Harsin in his head is going, okay, probably going to make a change. And here's the next 3 guys I'm going to call. So he probably was ready to move fairly quickly.
And if I'm not mistaken, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but when he first got hired, it felt like it took him forever to put together his staff. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, no, that's right. It did feel like a while. Yeah.
Yeah, like months
Yeah.
before he finally got. I don't know if that's right. Like I said, anytime we're in a coaching search or something like that, every day feels like a week.
Yeah.
But if I remember, he did his due diligence and vetted, and at the very end, you're finally getting some guys to fill some roles. And I know you've written about a couple of guys, and this today we'll have a new guy that they're talking to. But I feel like Zach Hill, the offensive coordinator. To me, that makes the most sense. You step back and you look at everything. Zach Hill was his offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach at Boise State before he left and went to Arizona State in 2019. And it just makes a lot of sense. It's nice to have Bobo. He can recruit South Georgia and he's got SEC ties. But at this point, if you're Harsin, if you're going to, you want to win and lose with your guys. And to me, that the Zach Hill makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seemed like he was bringing in some guys that were sort of more centric to the SEC, some guys that were around this area of the country. And then you started seeing some implementing of guys like Eric Keesaw.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, I want to try to get some recruiters here, but I'm conflicted because I want some guys that know how I do things too. So that's another, like you were saying, that's why Zach Hill makes sense too. Plus, he's got a really good offense at Arizona State. I think they were top 30 in the country or something like that. So, that's playing into the decision as well. You got to have a more high power offense than what you previously had. That was the whole point, right?
And if you go back and you look at Cornelius, it was like, all right, you're done. I'm bringing in my guy. Bobo, you're done. Presumably bringing in my guy.
Yeah.
And that's I can respect that, man. If I'm going down, like I said, win or lose, I'm going to do it with my guys. I'm not going to do it because somebody urged me or I'm going to pacify these donors or whatever to get these, or whoever says I need SEC guys in here. Forget that, dude. I'm going down with my guys.
That's right.
Isn't that like wild? Like, is it just not surreal that we're like the tone of, and I'm not saying we're wrong, we're wrong. Just the tone of the conversation. For Ryan Harsin's coached one season at Auburn, and we're like, you better get this hire right. It's just weird. Like, I don't know. It's just either that's the landscape of college football or that's Auburn. We should be like, it shouldn't feel like there's this much pressure on this hire, but it does feel like there's that much pressure on it. And
I think it's a little bit of both, the landscape and Auburn.
Yeah.
Just where Auburn sits in the country with recruiting and where they sit in the conference and the region that they're in, it's just the expectations are always high for Auburn, and it's very difficult to maneuver through that schedule and to recruit against the Giants. So, you got a weird combination going on at Auburn. It's always been.
And Justin, you wrote about this. I love this. You get new coaching staff in, especially a guy taking over this program, and you're expecting them to expect some patience, but they're not. And you wrote about this earlier. I think it was on the corner, our message board. But they want to win now. They expect to win now. They're not putting in this, 3, give me 2 more years. They want to win. And the first half of the season, the position that was hurting the most, it felt like, was the wide receiver position. Boom, makes an in-season decision there. At the end of the season, it's the offense not putting up points in the second half. Boom, he makes a decision there. I like it, man.
Yeah, Cole, you were talking about Zach Hill. I don't think Arizona State was great, but he did good things at Boise when he was at Harsin. I think they had like a top 30. Pro Football Focus rated him a top 40 offense each season he was there. 31st or better in 3 of those years. And they said their passing game was top 15 nationally, and all of their receivers earned a top 25 score in his seasons there. So he did good things at Boise, which obviously was what matters because that's when he was with Brian Harsin.
Yeah.
So yeah, important hire. Do you guys think, because this question's been tossed around a lot, does this guy need to be a better play caller or a better recruiter? Does he need to be both? Obviously you got to be able to recruit. Like we're talking about, on some level, you have to be a really good recruiter. We know that. But in terms of what's one on your list, a dynamic play caller, or give me somebody like, or do they say Harsin goes, look, I've coordinated offense. Keesaw's like, I've coordinated an offense. Could they get away with, a young guy who maybe doesn't have a bunch of experience play calling, but could be a dynamic recruiter potentially? I mean, what's the mix, you think?
Okay, if you'd asked me this yesterday, you know what my answer was, right? If you did ask me this yesterday off the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at this point, points are more important. Now, if you bring in a dynamic recruiter, I'm going to change my tone. And I'm going to say this is why this was a great hire. And if Auburn were to bring in a dynamic recruiter, a guy that you're going to be writing about later today, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Then we're having a different discussion here.
Yeah.
But to me, Zach Hill, I think it's the perfect fit, and he may not be that guy, but I feel like it just, we've all been putting out feelers and stuff, and I think it's fair to say that I have a little bit of confidence that he might even be the guy to beat right now. I think it might be his job to lose or his job to turn down.
That's fair.
You think that's fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say we've got the most concrete probably evidence about him, and then combine that with he's been at Boise and there's some logical sense there that it makes, and combine that with, we don't know, we believe Zach Hill and Auburn have talked. We do believe that. We don't know when, but then we also know Zach Hill was in Hoover, Alabama on like Monday recruiting for Arizona State, but same day Harsin's in Huntsville. So just saying, I don't know if it happened that day, but boy, it sure would have been pretty easy to get together for an hour or two. So
he's been the common denominator of all our discussions, right? I mean, we've heard names, we've heard this guy thrown out. And
outside of us, I mean, even whether it was Football Scoop or whatever, I mean, there've been other people that have, kind of backed up.
He's the common denominator in all these names.
Yeah.
And it makes so much sense.
Yeah, I'm with you on the play caller, Cole. I'm curious what you think. I just think, man, like, I go back to, like, of course, Auburn needs players. Auburn needs the Jimmies and the Joes for sure. But, man, if they don't win next year, there's going to be so much pressure. If he goes 7 wins next year, Harsin's on the hot seat. It just not by my doing. Like, I want to see how it goes. I'm just telling you, I think he will. Part of that's because I think how his hire was made, and maybe the boosters didn't feel like he was their first choice. I think that plays a part into it. Maybe.
And who's his boss next year?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so I just think, man, like if he does that, all he's really got to point to then is maybe recruiting. Maybe he lands top 15 this year. Maybe, if they can improve recruiting, he can go, hey, but we're building. But if he can get to that 8-win mark next year, I think that the people will, because
I don't think he can be average in both. I don't think you can have an average football season and an average recruiting class. You need to be exceptional in one area or the other.
Because they're going to lose. I mean, guys, we're talking about, what if Bo doesn't come back? You got receivers leaving, Shed's leaving. You got, Canyon. What does Capers do? Offensive line, right? You had seniors there. Like that offense, if Bo doesn't come back, you got issues personnel wise. So if you better get this play caller right and maximize what you can do with them next year in terms of, putting defenses in conflict and really dialing it up. That's just because people have pitched the Harsin and Keesaw have coordinated offense. Well, how'd that go with Bobo? They all have coordinated an offense. And I mean,
right.
So I don't know. Maybe that convinces me to go get a recruiter. Heck, if
Yeah,
I-
right. Keep talking, Justin. You'll come to the
Yeah.
dark side.
Yeah. I like both angles.
The way
I
I
can talk
see it,
myself into both of them.
the way I
Me
see it
too.
is you got Harsin and Keesaw there who have both had play calling experience, and just from what I studied from what Harsin did at Boise, a lot of the running stuff was similar with what Bobo was calling, meaning I'm sure he had some influence on what was going on, which head coach doesn't. My point is, I think that Harsin is going to have influence no matter what.
Sure.
So if that's the case, and Keesaw could have some more input than he's been having too, that could always happen because he's pretty comfortable with him, obviously. If that's the case, then you go get somebody who is a younger guy, an energetic guy, somebody that can bring in some guys that you can sort of, mesh your offense with. And Zach Hill's got a really good passing game, obviously. So you put that with what Brian Harsin was already implementing with the run game, that just makes a lot of sense to me. You know what I mean? I think that's probably why he's one of the top guys.
Yeah. And if you think about the issue that we kind of mentioned with Bobo, from a fit perspective, that wasn't great. So is Harsin going, okay, tried the SEC guy, and I need a fit. I need guys around me that know what I want to do on offense. Like, we need to be on the same page. How important is that after you didn't have a great fit with the previous OC?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Going back to Bo, though,
yeah.
we're talking about recruiting. Now, there's guys that believe close to Bo that he's considering leaving. I think you've reported that, Justin, maybe twice. There's guys close to Bo who think he's not going anywhere. Whatever the case may be, the most important thing for Auburn in the 2022 season is getting him back.
Yeah.
That would be to put an end to it. If you're staying, let us know. I feel like he's had the opportunity and he just hasn't done that.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's sitting there waiting to see who the OC is going to be. I guess he doesn't have to be he's got to sort of be in a rush. I mean, not a rush, but these schools, whether it's you look out there who might need a quarterback, whether it's Ole Miss or Cincinnati or those are the first ones that come to mind. I was going to say Arizona State, but Jaden Daniels is coming back there. Adrian Martinez from Nebraska is transferring. Rattler's already in the transfer portal. So other quarterbacks are in the portal. So he's gonna have to make a decision at some point. But yeah, that's the biggest recruit. I mean, if he doesn't come back, you better hope TJ Finley makes leaps and bounds. Do
you have a backup on the roster even if he comes back? A guy who you can win a championship with?
No. Mm-mm.
I mean, honestly, it's got to TJ Finley, man. We said this more and more. Not a lot of confidence in him. Not a lot of. I just don't. I feel like Auburn's got to go to the portal and find the quarterback, regardless of what Bo Nix does. Unless, we don't see D Davis in this offense, do we?
I hate it. I see him in some offense. I just wish D Davis. I don't think D Davis is. There's by no means am I like. Do I predict anything for him? I just want him. I want to see him get a fair shot. I want to go through a spring where he gets the same reps as everybody and just see what he does. And if he doesn't beat anybody out, then transfer. Right. And until we see that, I at least want it. I don't want him to leave without him having a fair shot because he's a good athlete. And look, we remember back to fall. He had some really good scrimmages. Brian Harsin talked about it in the press conferences that the dude's a gamer and he just made plays.
Wasn't he A-Day MVP?
Yeah, and then when they started practicing those first few fall scrimmages, he lit up. Lights came on. He was a good player. I don't know what kind of offense he fits.
I wonder how much influence his style of play, being that you're feeling like he could probably come back. If there's anybody that's reliable about coming back, it seems like he is. It just feels that way, like he doesn't want to go anywhere.
His dad says he loves Auburn. Like I talked to his dad, just messaged with him here and there, and he seems to assure me like that D loves being at Auburn.
Well, it felt like with Bobo, he almost would have to go because he just didn't fit in what they were doing. But you wonder how much does does getting this new OC fit? How much does it mesh with what he does? I mean, do they think about that at all? Is
What
that
about Griner?
Garner.
Garner, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Gurner?
Garner.
That dude can flip it now, man. He's
Like,
good.
what's his fit? I mean, he's more important than D Davis probably, right? I mean, they recruited Holden, right? Would he? If I was like looking at the future and saying who do we need to cater towards, it's Holden, right? Not
Right.
not D or right?
Here's what's always been true in my opinion: arm talent like Holden Gurner's
Uh-huh.
can fit in anything, unless you're just running straight RPO stuff every play. Davis, just from what I saw of him, I mean, especially in his high school highlights, the dude is really comfortable in the pocket. I mean, he's not a pocket quarterback, but he's comfortable in the pocket. It's not like he can't do that kind of stuff. I think a good mix would be good, just like you did with Bo. I mean, so I that's just been in my mind. Do they even consider that? Do they say, okay, I got this guy here who's a really good competitor. He's up and coming in the program. He's hanging with us. Let's maybe try to work him into a more fitted system, And Gurner, like I said, he's got the arm talent. You can pretty much fit him in what you want. I mean, he can do any kind of passing offense you want because he's just got that ability, So that's what I've been thinking about. I don't know how much influence that has. It's just I feel like it's got to be in consideration with your personnel, like we were saying earlier. You gotta make sure that you match your personnel, right?
Yeah. He's that exciting athlete that it's hard to turn away from. He's such a good athlete in this day and age with the way offenses are more spread out, man. You get somebody that can make plays with their feet, and which Bo can. But man, like D Davis could be a really dangerous player if he's given the opportunity, man. He could. I mean, you just see what Malik Willis did when he got his head on straight and goes to Liberty like that. The two remind me, I guess, similar size, not 6'3" guys, mobile. That they look similar to me. So in the right system,
and when you don't have a great offensive line, it helped to have somebody who could get some yardage there.
Yeah, line's gonna be worse next year, right? How's it gonna be better?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Hit the portal, man.
Tayshawn Manning's gone. He obviously didn't start, but he played a good bit. And you've got other seniors, Troxel and Ham, and I haven't heard of any of them using their extra year. I don't know, but I mean, there's some seniors there. So, all right. So OC is still up in the air. We think Auburn should move quickly, which makes sense, I think, on some levels. So we'll see what they do there. Just stay tuned to Auburn Live, and we'll do our best to bring it to you if it happens soon. All right, let's talk recruiting, because recruiting's heating up. Jeffrey's over there getting scooped right now. Look at him.
No, it's a stupid Amber Alert, man.
Oh, yeah,
not an Amber Alert, public safety alert. Apparently,
okay.
some cat. Oh, I mean, they've been coming since 3:30 this morning.
Oh gosh,
you didn't get one?
No.
Oh man, there's like a Morris Mill. Now I have mine turned off because I like to sleep through the night, but Brooks woke up freaking out, and then we heard the police come by on Shug.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, they're like, they're headed eastbound, and I was like, oh shit! And then he heard the sirens. But anyways, one suspect in custody. Second suspect from the Atlanta area has been identified, but not in custody.
Oh wow! wild. Everybody's losing their mind in Auburn.
Yeah.
All right, recruiting. Big weekend. Big. I guess next 2 weeks. Certainly for the early signing period. Where do things stand, Jeffrey? We'll start with you. I guess you can talk about this weekend, I guess, coming up. I know you're gonna have the war room up. By the time people are listening to this, the war room probably will be up, if not about to be up. So where do things stand recruiting wise? It's been crazy. Y'all have been killing it with updates. I mean, they've been coming like
a lot of stuff been going on, man. It's been a busy the Iron Bowl. I mean, just the hangover from that, the ripple effect, and how it's going to affect this class is. I'm curious to see. I know that Auburn is banking on signing day being very big. I think there's a couple of guys that probably could have already went public, but are electing to hold off until signing day to make that final decision. This weekend, the two and very important positions, wide receiver, running back, will potentially be addressed. Obviously, they're bringing in Camden Brown, and this is kind of after Darius Clemens kind of fell off the map with Auburn and Oregon. Of course, he's been up there. It was always going to be tough to get him down here, but haven't heard much from him. I don't even think we've mentioned him in the last couple of weeks. But the new guy was Antonio Williams from South Carolina. He was obviously the top guy. Bobo was the biggest thing there with him. He was kind of the point man for him. So losing him, and Clemson coming in with an offer. I think Antonio had a in-home last night with, I think Dabo was there last night. Yeah. And then I think Antonio's going in next weekend, the last weekend before signing day. Or is it this weekend? Might be. I think it's the next weekend.
Next weekend.
Anyways, it trending down with him as well. Bobo, you lose Bobo, and you've got Clemson making a big hard push here late. Doesn't look good. So what does Auburn do? They turn to Camden Brown, who they probably could have had back in the summer. I mean, he came to Auburn, showed out, camp MVP, picked up an offer, and from all indication, he was ready to commit. But Auburn had Darius Clemens, they had Antonio Williams, they had guys like Jay Fair at the time, Amari Kelly. Decided to hold off on Camden Brown, and he ended up committing to Pitt. But when you start trending down for guys like Darius Clemens, Antonio Williams, you start trending up for a guy like let me. So I had Drew Bobo on the list this weekend. I was just informed that he will not be here.
There you go. That's what I was wondering.
Interesting. That's that. Were you taking that not as a? I would assume that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I was told that expect him there this weekend, but don't 100% count on it. Like, we have it scheduled, but there's no telling if he's going to come or not. So there seems to be the word on that.
And that would be a big. I mean, I saw you guys know better. I saw some people maybe mention that he could potentially be a starting center next year. Like, I mean, he's important, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, he's very. I mean, forget about the fact that he was the offensive coordinator's son. The dude's pretty sporty. I mean, he's an athletic big guy. I don't know if he's quite ready to be full-time starter in the SEC, but he's close. I think he's got enough athleticism. And he's the coach's son. He's a smart guy. So, yeah, that's an important one, I would say, for Auburn, especially with your current situation, losing some guys on the offensive line.
Y'all need to report that. Feel free to do whatever you want.
Yeah,
we can keep going. Scam.
There he is.
Scam likely. I tell you what, scam. No, I'm not going to get on that track. I was going to say scam likely has become a very good way to hide. You know, you could just get people's numbers and do it as scam likely, and nobody will think twice these days.
But to finish on back to the receivers.
Yep.
Camden Brown. I mean, this dude can play. I mean,
he's a big guy, right?
He's 6'3".
Yeah, he's 6'3".
Great playmaker, man.
He is. It sounds like they're going to keep swinging at Squirrel White from Clay Chalkville.
I'm sorry?
Squirrel White.
Marquarius.
Yeah,
that's what I said.
Nickname Squirrel. Well, I'll take another Squirrel. Ontario makes me think of Ontario McCaleb.
Yeah. This guy can fly. He's probably one of the fastest guys in the receiver class for the 2022 class.
I would hope so. I hope that nickname's not something else. Like we nicknamed him Squirrel. Not very fast, but
no, he can go. He'll play in the state championship today as well.
Dude, Squirrel White. That's fantastic.
He's committed to Tennessee right now. I believe Eric Keesaw is going to see him. But another one of those deals here. Georgia has decided they like him and are swooping in on him.
Wow.
Really?
What is this, like a 5'9", just punt returner, do everything, slot guy?
He's not very big. He's 5'9", 165 pounds, but he's a legit, blazer, and that's why people like him.
Yeah.
And he's a playmaker. He just makes a lot of plays. I think he plays some quarterback sometimes, some defense. So that's just another guy down the line, and you're wondering like who. Okay, they wanted to get 5 receivers at one time. Now, Darius Clemens seems to be out. Antonio Williams is trending down. You know, you got Camden Brown coming for an official visit. That's pretty big, and that's what me and Jeffrey were talking about on our podcast earlier in the week. That maybe you look to Jacoby Albert, who's already committed, who has some experience playing receiver and has done a great job doing that.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of it's an interesting. You know, 2 weeks ago it looked really good on the receiver front. Now you're going, who do they turn to exactly? Which it's a good thing they got 2 guys committed already. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting on Drew Bobo. Certainly, if he doesn't show up when he was planned to take an OV, that can't be anything but negative.
When you get Powell coming in, you've got EJ Harris coming in,
Yeah.
and Bo's not coming in, and that's
The question is, does he publicly decommit, or does he just privately say, okay, I need to look around, but I won't do it publicly because I may come back.
I think he's about to go into hiding.
Yeah.
I've seen he's always been pretty open with me, and that was him who texted me, but it was a short no.
Are you still with the class?
Right.
Well, you know, he had he camped at Georgia, got an offer from them. They were heavily in consideration when he committed to Auburn. I don't know where they're at numbers wise, if they could still take him, but you know, he's got some options, I think, if he would.
Talk to me about, I think a lot of fans are looking at Jeffrey Mba, that big dude, is he the one that was supposed to go to Texas and then canceled it? Or was thinking about going to Texas? Is that?
Oh, who knows, dude?
But big guy, right? Like he's got a lot of attention right now. How important is he?
I got you. I got the scoop on that guy, kind of. Here's the deal with him. I talked to him at the Iron Bowl. His English is a little bit. He's still trying to figure out how to articulate his English. I think he comprehends it better when reading, and he struggles putting stuff on Twitter, I believe. And he was trying to say, after I take these 3 official visits, my recruitment's over. But it came out as my recruitment's over after this Auburn visit is what it came out. And people on Twitter were going, hey, yeah, he committed to Auburn. All right.
Yeah.
But he clarified that. He said, no, I still got 3 more officials to go. Missouri, Tennessee, Oregon. So he's going to take those first before he makes his decision.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big dude. That's a big guy. And he played where's he figure in, Cole?
He's going to play probably interior defensive line, but he's got enough length and quickness to be able to play like maybe where Colby Wooden's playing right now, like that hand on the ground end. Not the stand-up end, not the edge player, but the end. So, I mean, I think he's an impact guy early on. I don't know if he's so much of a starter as he's just a rotational piece, probably, just because he brings so much athleticism at that size. I mean, he's going to find a way in if he gets, if he comes to Auburn. So, that would be a big one. Not that the depth is terrible on the defensive line at Auburn right now, but there's some guys that didn't play a lot of snaps that you would expect to, and it just doesn't seem like they're going to play, 50 snaps a game overnight, next year. It just seems like you need some more rotational pieces in the mix. So he would be a great one. And then, I went and I saw Curtis Perry play last night in the state championship game, who just recently named Auburn as leader.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
Was that surprising? Was that surprising that he came out and said Auburn was his leader?
Well, we had written here, and I think we were the only ones at Auburn Live that wrote, Alabama is the leader, but are they as much of a leader as perceived? I don't know. We'll see after this official visit to Auburn. I mean, let's see what happens on that first, and just apparently they, knocked it out of the park on this official visit. He named Auburn his leader publicly. Who knows if that's, you never know these days, but there's no predictions, and there's a reason why there's no predictions, because Alabama's still there. He's going to take an official visit to Texas as well. So again, this is just one of those situations where Auburn has to close on the work they've been doing, which that's what it's coming down to now. You got less than 2 weeks to go. And by the way, in case you're wondering if Perry's a good player, he had about 5 sacks in the state championship game last night. Just a complete animal coming off the ball. Ridiculous get off. I had a thread going on our boards talking about him, but this is a guy that could provide some pass rushing ability. He's already got a nice little skill set, nice move set. He can get off blocks really well. He's just so good off the ball. A must get, in my opinion. And you've been recruiting him so long. If you miss on a guy like that, it would really be
right off the road too.
Demoralizing.
That would be a bad one. I think we talked. That's the guy that we talked about. Whatever, we've talked about him before, but I think, him being in Montgomery, him being such a high priority target, that would be a tough one. I don't know if you lose that. I don't know if you try to make long-term judgments on that, but it wouldn't be great if you can't get him now. Like it wouldn't give me a lot of confidence in recruiting in state. I know maybe that's overplaying it, but that's a big one to lose right off the bat.
Let's just say that Auburn misses on him, okay? Hypothetically. At the same time, you're also in pretty good shape with an Alabama commit, Robert Woodyard, the linebacker from Mobile. You're in pretty good shape with an LSU commit, Jadarian Rim, who's another 4-star corner. You're in pretty good shape with a Georgia commit, Tyree West, a defensive lineman, 4-star defensive lineman. So as far as perception goes, talking about missing on Perry would be such a big blow, and it would, don't get me wrong.
And Demario Tolan
from LSU, making some ground there, definitely. And, is Trey Citizen still in the mix? That's an LSU running back commit. Very possible that he's still in the mix.
No longer committed.
No longer committed to LSU. Former LSU commitment. So, as far as perception goes, and me and Jeffrey were talking about this the other day, you still got a lot out there that you could really make a statement with, even if you were to miss on Perry, which, and I'm going to say that would hurt Auburn. I mean, that's just a big loss if you miss on him. It sounds like right now that chances with Perry going to Auburn are pretty decent. I mean, you just got to finish it. You just got to finish the job.
No more visits to Alabama. He took it before the Iron Bowl.
Uh-huh.
He took his official visit before the Iron Bowl. I think with him, with Imba, with Tyree West, and Tyree West is not going to Georgia. I don't know. I think only publicly is he committed to Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't think anything behind the scenes is anything Georgia with him. I think it's Florida State and Auburn. I know Florida State feels really good about him. I think Auburn feels pretty good about him too. He's still got an official visit left to Auburn. I expect him to take it at some point in the next 10 days.
Yep.
So I have not heard. I thought it might be this weekend, but it might be next weekend. It could be a midweek visit. But I think Tyree West is certainly somebody we'll be tracking.
They went in home with him, so they probably discussed that. It could definitely happen in the next week for sure. The Iron Bowl visit for him was very big, according to a few Auburn commits. They thought that it went really well with him. And that was really, one of them told me that it was their first time kind of being around him, getting a feel for him, and they know Auburn's been recruiting him, but they feel like, the game was big for him. Coaches said the good things to him, so they think there's a shot there, basically.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely. I at worst, I think it's 50-50 right now.
Yeah.
Well, let's end on this. And now I forgot the question I was going to end on.
Oh,
No, I got it. Signing day. So it's early signing day. We've I think you guys have mentioned it, and we've heard people asking the question of are they trying? Is this a strategy? Are they lining up trying a big signing day versus trying to push for every commit they can when they can get it? What's going on with, because we hear the good things like you guys talk about with these guys, but nothing's happened. Nobody's pulled the trigger. So if they are lining up, Jeffrey, for a big signing day, what's the thinking there? What kind of impact is that? Like, what's the thought process there, you think, if that's what they're doing?
Exposure, absolutely. Recognition nationally. They want, let's be honest. If you've got the number 5 class and you get no commitments on signing day, nobody really talks about you. They kind of throw you in there in passing, right?
Yeah,
but when you're getting to commit and flip and flip and commit and flip on signing day, we're talking about at least 8, right? Auburn's got 12 plus Trey Donaldson, the basketball signing, but you're talking maybe 6 to 8 commitments on signing day, and taking the media, the press by storm. How can you not talk about a school, especially Auburn, in its first full class with Brian Harsin, first early signing period, and just hitting it out of the park on signing day? And that's going to get a lot of momentum heading into that 23 class.
Yeah, and if you're someone who watches the signing day shows on ESPN or whatever, if you have commitments hitting all throughout the day, they're going to have to keep going back to Auburn, right? Oh, at 9:30, Auburn lands this guy at 10:30. Auburn's gotten another one at 12:30. Number 3 on the day. That's kind of how it's looking right now. How they're wanting to do that, and
because they could have had the commitments.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a few out there that could have definitely,
at least 2. I feel very comfortable in saying at least 2 big ones that they could have had.
Yep. Yeah. So at this point, if that's the plan, if you're Auburn, you hope you can hang on, right? Because if it doesn't work out that way,
yes, absolutely.
So
a little bit of risk, I guess.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens on that. That seems to be, like, I think you're right, Justin. That seems to be the plan at the moment, because that's with what, 12 days left now. I think there's 12 days left until signing day. Yeah, I think they're just going to hold out and have a big, massive day on signing day if they can.
And do we know a total number in terms of, okay, early signing period comes, what is late signing period? Will they be almost at their max, like just a few more? Like, how will it?
I think so. I saw a stat today. I think it was from the NCAA that 88% of Power 5 recruits signed in the early period last year. That's almost 90%. So 9 out of 10 guys are signing in this December. Yeah, there could be a couple of guys. I think, was it Antonio Williams?
Yeah.
May not even sign. Yeah, he may. There's going to be a couple of guys like that.
You also have offensive lineman, the Florida commit, Jalen Farmer, who made the Iron Bowl visit and then got the offer like as he was driving home. He's probably going to hold off too. Maybe. That's one to watch. Plus, it always seems every year, even though so many guys sign in the early period, it seems like there's a commit somewhere that you're not expecting that just holds off because he's just not sure. He's just not sure if he's ready. And then, it's a feeding frenzy on those guys.
Right, yeah. That's when he gets really tough.
It seems to me while they're going to get, they got this certain amount of guys that they want to get. If they go 100% on that, unbelievable. But what the chances of that are not super likely. So it seems to me they're going to have a spot or 2 left so they can just go all out on somebody after the early signing period. That's just what I think. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, like, here's the deal. People a couple weeks ago were concerned, I think, with when they're thinking about who LSU might get and who Florida might get, or look at, and all this stuff, and they're concerned about Auburn's positioning. And I think I think that plays a part into some of the pressure right now, for sure. It's a pivotal time for Auburn, but they are still right there. If they can, I mean, look at this is supposed to be A&M's year. They went 8-4. Okay, they didn't capitalize. They went 8-4.
Right.
LSU gets Brian Kelly, great hire, but they're rebuilding. Billy Napier at Florida, like new coach. It's still Lane Kiffin, great year at Ole Miss, but Lane Kiffin's not going to be there much longer. He's going to move on somewhere, or they're going to get caught cheating. I don't know which one's going to happen first. But like Auburn is still right there, man. It is really so important for Brian Harsin to get this OC hire right and to recruit and land this class and to build these foundations, man. Because it's a pivotal time, but Auburn's right in the thick of it still with being able to. I think there's a jockey. You got Bama and Georgia, and then I think, man, it's past that. It's total jockeying, whether it's Kentucky or Auburn or A&M or LSU or Florida. And Auburn's got a dang $100 million facility that's going to be up next year, brand new. Dang it! I mean, if they just can land a class this year, land the right OC, they can be in great position, next year, whatever, to make sure that they stay on top in this league, or certainly near the top in this league. It's a pivotal time, but they're right in the thick of it. They are. For people that are kind of discouraged and 6-6, and they're still right in this thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, look at some of those games that they lost. I mean, they were very close. It's not like it was a blowout either. And that's kind of how I'm viewing recruiting right now. They're very close in all of these, but this time you can't go 6-6, right? You got to go more like 9-3 on these recruits. You got to finish better than you did in the games this year.
Auburn was in every game this year except for one, right?
Yeah.
Well, really, it seemed like they were still in it in the first half against Georgia too. There weren't many other teams that played Georgia as competitively as Auburn. It got
that in late. It was probably, I can't remember exactly how the scoring went. It was probably 21-10. You felt like maybe they're hanging around. But yeah, it obviously ends up being 34-10, and that was. But in terms of final score, but yeah, every other one, A&M too. But that game was 6-3 in the fourth quarter. I mean,
right.
Yeah, right.
A little bit better execution, and you beat Penn State, and you beat A&M, and you beat Mississippi State, and you beat South Carolina. Like those are all winnable games with the team Auburn just had. Period. That all of those with the roster they had right then. I mean,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Alabama.
And Alabama too. Geez, I mean, so it just didn't go their way.
Could have been 5-7. Could have been 5-7. You lose to Georgia State, you're 5-7.
Oh my God.
Could have also could have been 11-1.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's kind of
right.
That was I mean, man, Auburn.
They lost the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
In every one of those losses.
Yeah.
That's why we sound, maybe for those of you listening, it may sound like me and Jeffrey don't sound quite as optimistic as we were in the podcast earlier in the week, but that's just because it's getting closer to the wire. And you saw how Auburn lost some of those close games. Well, now they're in the closest recruiting battles ever, and you just got to win them. I mean, we don't know how they're going to do that yet. That's the thing. We got to see.
Column, Cole.
Do what?
Sounds like you got a column brewing.
The good thing about this,
how to close.
Auburn's in on so many. I mean, I'm saying when I say they're in top 2, maybe top 3 for several top guys. If they can just win a third of those battles, just a third of them, 1 out of every 3, and they add. I would say there's probably 9 or 10. So let's say they add 3 it's to what they already have in the works. It's going to be huge. Just win 3. Just win a third. Win half. Hell, if you win half, unbelievable class. Not unbelievable, but for the first year, you're talking 10 to 12, 10 to 15. Now you're pushing a top 10 class. You get half of those guys.
Yeah.
Just half. Top 20 if you get a third.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be big. I think that'll make fans need a boost. Need that in a bowl win. Need a shot in the arm. Sorry.
Auburn UCF in Birmingham.
It just came out. Shot in the arm. I hope not. Gosh, I don't want to see UCF. That would be just Auburn should not go to a bowl. If they're like, hey, it's Central Florida or nothing, Auburn should be like, we'll just scrimmage or something.
Yeah.
Like, we're good.
Now, there's nothing that could come out of that game.
Nothing good.
Quick question before we go here.
Unless Auburn wins by 30 and they won't.
TJ Finley, is he good to go for the bowl?
I don't know. We'll probably talk to Harsin Sunday night probably when they announce the bowl. And so we'll figure it out. Probably. I mean, it seems like just a bad ankle sprain. He'll probably be. I would think he'll be fine. I don't know though.
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I don't want the guy to be hurt, but I wouldn't mind seeing D. Davis. Of course, the way Harsin's done it, we'll probably see Grant Loy.
I was about to say it might be Grant Loy's time to shine.
D. Davis is just not allowed to play this year. Not allowed.
Yeah.
All right.
That seems to be the case for a lot of freshmen.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it was just odd. Just didn't want to put him in. But at the same time, Auburn was in some of those games. Like, so I see both sides of that. Like, oh, play him. You got time. Well, they're in a close game. You trying to win it, or I mean, Auburn needed to win some games.
Yep, every game was close.
Yeah. All right, let's end on that. We'll come back. I'm sure you guys will have recruiting podcasts after the weekend, and so be on the lookout for that. If you're not on auburnlive.com, if you found us through a streaming, Apple or whatever, you should be there. A bunch of good stuff happening this weekend, and basketball. Obviously, Auburn's got a great basketball team, and that's ramping up as well. So head on over to auburnlive.com, be a part of the site. We appreciate it. For Jeffrey and Cole, I'm Justin. We'll see you next time.